operating in the time of George Washington, American Revolution. Well, what happened? The British lost America. They lost the revolution. All of these refugees, Tories, were pouring into St. Augustine. They needed housing. Thousands of Tories or British supporters of the king were pouring into St. Augustine. Well, the lumber was cut right here, and because again, we were the farm area. We were the area where people would go to be fed. This was an area where there was trees all over the place. Now, the most common tree was the longleaf pine, which is almost extinct. These were gigantic trees. They were primeval trees. In other words, they were huge. And they were practically extinct, but they made very good lumber. So the sawmills here would cut down these longleaf pines, turn them into lumber, and I say again, many of the homes in Flagler or in St. Augustine were built with lumber cut right here in Flagler County. We have a story. I've never been able to verify this, but remember I told them that there were all these live oak trees. These were very valuable for shipbuilding because the lumber was very tough and it was the right shape. We believe that some of old Ironsides, some of the pieces in that famous colonial American ship were cut right here in Flagler County. We do believe that because many of these live oaks were cut down for shipbuilding, for building ships, and the wood was very valuable. They also had something called naval stores here, naval stores. And this was the beginning of our turpentine business. One of the major crops here was turpentine, brought from these palm trees. Now, on your right and your left, I have a chapter in my book called Build It and They Will Come. Well, they built it, but they didn't come. We had this great amount of development here. There were between 4 to 5 major corporations. They put in sidewalks, they put in sewage, they put in water wells. This was to be a larger community than Daytona. It was plotted to be an immense city. So as we go along, you'll see sidewalks, you'll see roads that go absolutely nowhere. Now, I have been told that this is all coming back. In fact, this week we saw bulldozers all over the place. You're going to see them as we go along here, and they're starting to tear up the land. They're starting to lay down foundations for houses, and I think pretty soon the plan is coming to fore. It's going to happen again. The people that originally did this all went bankrupt, but the approval for building is still there. And as I say, this area is controlled by the city of Palm Coast. They annexed all this land, and they maintain and cut the grass and keep the place in order. But build it and they will come. When we had our great, what do we call it, recession, all of these corporations went bluey. They went bankrupt. But they are coming back. Once upon a time, Flagler County was loaded with small towns and villages, many of which have disappeared.